Hello and welcome back to Let's Play Wrath of the Righteous with me, Bring It Down. Let's visit Chili Creek. What a beast. We've got you now. Watch out for those huge teeth. Don't let them catch you. Aim for her throat and belly. Fewer scales there. Don't be afraid, everyone. We fought once bigger than this.
Begone, fiend!
Did the world just forget me?
This will be quick.
Nothing to it. That'll teach you to mess with us. A man with green eyes, the broad shoulders of a swimmer, and the calloused hands of a fisherman shakes his fist at the beast's motionless carcass. Something's got him all worked up. That's the second time they've crawled out this month. So let him come. A woman, who has the same shade of green as the fisherman, smiles at you. It's not the first time, and it won't be the last. But what's it matter? They can't hurt us. We can use our hides to make a lot of waterproof coats and cloaks. Marco, Melissa, I'd like to introduce you to someone. This is Donald, the commander of the Crusade. He's the one I told you about. Ah, a real hero in our little backwater. It's so nice of you to drop by. We never had anyone so important come to visit. Heroic acts are important, but sometimes it's good to leave the front lines and talk to ordinary people living ordinary lives. Anyway, welcome to Chili Creek. Oh, stop it. I'm not some important guest. Just a mortal like you. That's right. 2 arms, 2 legs, no horns or halo or fangs or pointy ears. Just a normal human. My reputation precedes you. Our priest here has told us so much about you. We couldn't help but admire you. Hydras are usually far more dangerous. That beast was not at its full strength. I can tell you have an eye for such things. Well, of course he does. He's the commander of the Crusade. He probably could have told you all that with his eyes shut. Melissa smiles at you. It's all thanks to our mother, Icy Real. She takes care of her children, won't let anyone hurt them. She fills our nets with fish, and drives away the monsters. That's right. If she doesn't drive the beast away, she'll weaken them. We can kill them and harvest their hides. Icy Real? Who is that? She's right here. Marco nods toward the river. Did you think this was the Selin? No. It'd take you half a day's row before you reach that river. It's big to be sure, and very important. The Selin flows through at least a dozen countries. Where would the Great Selin be if it wasn't fed by thousands of little streams and creeks, such as our dear Icy Rill? The people of Chili Creek hold the river in great reverence. The priest's observation is matter of fact, but you notice his voice sounds a bit strained. How can we not? Our whole lives are built around the river. From the wedding wreath we send down its stream, to the funeral boat that floats away on the waters when the time comes. Our mother, Icy Rill, feeds us, gives us water, protects us. With a kind smile, Mark will cast a sidelong glance at the frowning priest. The gods are far away, but our Icy Rill is right here, so we treat her with respect. The two of you look very much alike. I assume you're related. Right you are. Marco ruffles Melissa's hair. She laughs and tweaks his nose. She's my little sister. Takes after our granny, may her memory never fade. She was always restless, couldn't sit still. And Melissa is just the same. She's always up to something. He took after our grandpa. May the river's silt be his featherbed. You're as brave as he was, and just as stubborn. You two looked very confident when you were giving orders to the other villagers during the fight. Are you in charge here? Well, how should I put this? Our village is too small for anyone to be in charge. We just happen to know a thing or two about using a weapon. So if some nasty creature comes crawling out of the river, we give the orders. But when it comes to fishing or fixing nets, we'll be the ones following orders. We're not an army, and there are no officers here. We all live together, solve our problems together, and serve the Icy Rill together. Although truth be told, it's only been in the last few years that people have really started listening to us. Before that, villagers kept to themselves. and no one wanted to go poking their nose into anyone else's business. When we first came up with the idea to start trading on the river, the other villagers stubbornly dug in their heels. But after money and goods began to flow into the village, they changed their mind. Minds, sorry, plural. Yes, the village has been growing. We're getting to see all sorts of things we had only ever heard about before. The year before last we had a fair, and people came all the way from Canabras to attend. Then a priest came. We'd never seen one of those before in these parts. And now who'd have thought? The commander of the crusade has decided to pay us a visit. What are those grass dolls that hang from the trees in the grove? A shadow passes over Markel's face, and he looks away. There's nothing much to tell, really. An old local custom. It's just a ritual, unless it adds in a low voice. No one seems willing to share any further details with you. But how's life in the village, now that you've got a priest? Not much has changed, Markel shrugs and smiles amiably. He's a good lad. He does some healing, never bothers us with sermons. Why, he's even learning to fish in his spare time. He also knows a lot of songs, and when he sings, it makes you want to sit and listen. And Melissa smiles archly at the priest, and he blushes. The Warmoon is not that far away. Have you ever been attacked by demons? No, we've never seen any. Our mother, Icy Rill, keeps us safe. Should never let such abominations get near us. I have to go. Back to the front. Melissa shakes her head sadly. I can't even imagine the nightmarish creatures you have to fight there. Have a safe journey and a swift victory. It's tough to be out there fighting the war, eh?
Pretty good, aren't I?
We got the Oppressor's Gloves. These gloves grant the wearer +2 bonus on persuasion skill checks made to intimidate. That's really good on my main character's build. In addition, whenever the wearer of these gloves confirms a critical hit, the enemy suffers a -2 penalty on saving throws against mind-affecting conditions for 2 rounds. The latter effect is okay, but the main effect is what I'm after.
I'm gone.
I want the demons to be scared of me. That's why I think the fear build with Cornigan Smash and Dreadful Carnage is so good, and thematic on the Paladin.
We do it my way.
Because 1, Charisma is your secondary attribute, and 2, I think it's really thematic that evil would cower in fear from a Paladin. Hit one of their buddies hard enough and the rest of the demons go running. Or whatever evil creatures you're fighting. Godspeed Salad. Alright, The Notes of a Traveling Priest Against the Coven by Tyron Dean. A traveling healer should enjoy a careless day of rest now and then. That is what I was thinking when I accepted an invitation to a wedding feast in a small Mendevian village near the Estrovian forest. It was a hot summer, so the tables were set outdoors, in the middle of an apple orchard. I was seated between a sullen girl of about 15 and a cheerful old lady with a few scars on her face. The simple village dishes smelled wonderful. The musicians were playing cheerful tunes and slowly getting drunk, and the groom was glowing. The bride sat staring at the table, with her blue eyes every so often wandering to her flower crown. A frightening unsteady howl came from somewhere beyond the orchard and broke the idyll. I turned to my elder neighbor with a silent question in my eyes. It's Naleka's dog, the bride's. Went mad last night and won't stop howling, so they locked it up in the barn. Jealous of her mistress, no doubt. I quickly got up, and the adolescent girl who sat beside me followed along. It wasn't difficult to find and untie the dog. It was a huge shepherd, and it jumped up to greet me, apparently sensing the power and goodness of my faith. He whimpered quietly, almost crying. Then he ran outside and led us with him. We went down to a ravine, in the shadows beneath some weeping willows. We were greeted by sad blue eyes gazing at us from a dead pale face. The body of Nelica, the bride who we'd seen at the feast just a few minutes ago, had been pinned against the trunk of a dry tree by some horrible force. The dog sat at her feet and howled again. I ran back rapidly, praying to the goddess. I know a monster that likes to kill young women to take on their appearance and destroy their family. These monsters worship powerful demon lords, the very embodiment of chaos, abomination, and evil. The powers of a humble healer would hardly be enough to stand against such an opponent. How could I leave those people in such peril? I collected myself as I approached the doors of the bedroom, where they'd already taken the young couple. I flung open the door and exhaled the words of a prayer. An unnaturally large creature stood over the young man's body. It yelped at the blow my prayer had dealt, and turned around immediately. Shimmering steely gray skin, monstrous claws, ugly features. It was an Annis, the most horrible of hags. The illusion that made her look like Nelica had fallen, and the bride's flower crown sat mockingly on the matted hair of her huge head. She raised her hand, preparing to cast her spell on me, but a shaggy shadow leapt from behind my back and pinned the hag to the ground, clenching its fangs around her throat. The dog had come to avenge his owner. But hags don't hunt alone. Behind my back there was another Annis from the coven, who had pretended to be the old lady at the table. A terrible claw reached out to me, but halted mid-air. "You," the hag whispered, baffled, and immediately fell from a blow to the throat. The adolescent girl wiped the blood from her hand and winked at me. Her eyes were different colors. One was blue, and the other was green. Family matters. Well, priestess, so go check on the poor groom. Alas, the happy village wedding turned into a funeral for the dead. Nelica and her elder relative, who the hags had killed to sneak into the feast. At least we were able to save the groom. I was staring at the young man's icy eyes, the shaggy dog sitting at his feet. I knew they wouldn't be staying much longer in the village. Soon the Mendevian Crusaders would have a new recruit and his dog in their ranks. 2 more souls with a grudge against demons and those who follow them. Before leaving the village, I visited the girl, a family cared for by the village herbswoman. But why did you decide to go against the coven? I asked her softly. I was born 15 years ago, after a similar wedding. Hags often bear the children they conceive, after killing the bride and taking her place in the groom's bed. Such children usually follow in their mother's footsteps, but I decided I preferred to be human. I nodded. I might have not been able to rest carelessly at a celebration, but this was worth it. The child of a monster had stepped onto the path of redemption and spared the world from the very evil that had spawned her. So that's a pretty relevant book to find in this area. Alright, so we've already talked about all of this. This question is worded a little differently since it's now past tense. Why are you examining those trees back in the grove? There are little dolls made of grass and seaweed tied to their branches. They're everywhere. Dozens of them. I've asked the villagers what they are, but they just mutter darkly and walk away. I simply don't understand. What is the purpose of this ritual? Why is it being kept secret? Yeah, we've read all that. Alright. Look, the commander's here. Welcome back. Please, stay here for as long as you'd like. How are things going in the village? Not much happens in the village. I'm sure you have a lot going on. This stuff is always happening in the cities and on the front lines. But things are pretty quiet out here. Well, let's see. What's the latest news from our little village? Well, we went fishing and caught some ruff. They were big too. Nice and plump, fat as piglets, I tell you. What else? Weebles have eaten through our carrots. They gobbled up everything down to the last stalk. Then, the other day, Old Bragg went to fix his roof and took a hard fall. If it hadn't been for Jornoff and his prayers, he'd have kicked the bucket by now, no doubt about that. You must think it's ridiculous to call any of this news. Also, Jornoff is just downright wonderful. I don't know. Maybe his prayers are working. Maybe he just has a lucky touch. Whenever he blesses me, I I always catch a boatload of fish. Also, he sings like an... Enough already. Marco frowns. Turn off this, turn off that. That's all I ever hear you talk about. Do you worship any deities here? Faith, religions, deities. With all due respect to Jernhoff, no one out here has time for such things. Maybe people in the city can go around saying prayers and listening to sermons. But in a backwater place like this, we're just doing what we can to survive. There's only one provider and protector for us. Our mother, Icy Rill. Marco nods toward the river. Yeah, the river doesn't care about prayers or sacrifices. Okay. And if the Icy Rill wants something in exchange for her help, she just takes it without asking. Melissa stares pensively at a piece of driftwood as it's carried away by the current. Alright, we've already read that. And that. Oh, this is actually new. So how's life in the village now that you've got a priest? Not much has changed. Marco shrugs and smiles amiably. He's a good lad, he does some healing, never bothers us with sermons. Why, he's even learning to fish in his spare time. He's a good man. He came all this way to live with us, even though he had never met us before. His religious beliefs, well, they're his own business. But life in the village became a lot more fun after he arrived, and that's all that really matters. He's a good singer, and he knows a lot of stories. All the best ones are about you, actually. How you cleverly defeated all the demons in Canabras. He sings you his little songs, and you hang on his every word. Marco pretends to scowl as he teases his sister. He's a good man, no question. But still, he's not one of us. You'd be better off finding yourself someone from the village, instead of spending all your time with him boating up and down the river. Yeah. Nobody asked you. Melissa sticks her tongue out at Marco. I read that already. Read that. Hi, when the Crusaders are near the World Wound, they often experience nightmares when they sleep. Do you have any trouble with nightmares here? Don't know what you're talking about, if I'm honest. I sleep like a dead man. Nothing to complain about. I have to go. Safe travels. May you defeat all your enemies. And don't forget, you're always welcome here. So you might think there's something suspicious going on in the village, but as the game progresses, we'll find out more about it. Fairy Tales of Avestan. A long time ago, in a time before remembering, there was a furious god known as Rovagug, a terrible giant worm with 1,000 teeth and claws. He devoured every world in his path, one after another, but the great gods were displeased with the beast, and delivered unto Rovagug their scourge. Many laid down their feuds to combine forces. Mighty Torag, brilliant Serenray, vicious Asmodeus, crafty Callistria, cold-blooded Pharasma, and many others. Together, they faced Rovagug he carried to swallow Galarian, so I arrived. Where did I get carried from? Maybe I saw the CA from Callistria? Gorham was also there, and I believe the Red Mantis god also helped. The Goddess of the Sun, actually I think Eredin may have been there as well. The Goddess of the Sun, Serenray, forbade Rovagug's death. Well, that doesn't make sense. I think this is before Eredin was a god. So maybe not Eredin. No, Eredin was fighting the demons. No, this is before the Crusades too. I may have Eredin's history mixed up. Don't mind me. I'm not an expert on Pathfinder lore. The Goddess of the Sun, Serenray, forbade Rovagug's death. Just stupid. And so the gods imprisoned the fiend deep in the ground, shackled and sleeping. Asmodeus himself would keep the keys to his bonds. The terrible monster remains there still, asleep in his prison. Whenever Rovagug rolls over in his sleep and scratches his back against his prison walls, the earth trembles, the volcanoes spit fire. So Galarian is acting as a giant prison for Rovagug. They say the demons in the wound are on the move again. Something's about to happen. Yeah, they're about to get smoked.
This is my kind of work.
If something happens, it'll happen there, not here. Things stay quiet around here, thanks to the river. That's how it should be.
Follow if you dare.
Yes, the Icy Rill will keep us safe. Do you want to allow any harm to come to us? Still, what do you think is happening? With the demons, I mean. I don't know. I don't want to know. Be better off asking how many catfish we'll catch this season. Now that's a real question, and a good one too. As for all that demon stuff, who cares? Well, someone oughta.
I'm off.
But I guess that's what we're here for. So the biggest thing the local villagers have to worry about is their catfish haul. They were doing a good job.
I am never wrong.
Alright, so we're done here for now. Next time we're going to return... Well, actually, let's head back to the camp now. We're not going to enter the camp, but we will travel to the camp. That's all we can do on this side. For now. I don't need to rest up. Alright, I'm going to call it here, and next time we'll enter the camp. We'll meet with Yaker. We'll start exploring the other side of the Selen. Sorry, West Selen. And go from there. But for now, thanks for watching. I will see you guys in the next one.